This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. I'm here with my man Tony Crow, ladies and gentlemen. And we got some news about Jalen Brunson and his injury. We're gonna break it down, see what fans think, talk about what's next for the Knicks and all of that. Tony, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling good, Sam. It's a late night, you know what I mean? Early morning, whatever you want to call it. But
Both.
the Knicks play tomorrow or tonight. You know what I mean? And
Right.
we getting the rewind in and the update. So I'm good. I'm good to go.
Do it. All right,
And the Knicks and bruises. So
and all of that. You know what I'm saying? For real. So let's get to it. According to Ian Begley, Knicks point guard Jalen Brunson sustained a grade 1 ankle sprain in the game versus Orlando. He's not available tomorrow or tonight, however you want to do the time, ladies and gentlemen, versus Miami, and will be evaluated daily moving forward per league sources. So there you have it, a grade 1 ankle sprain for Jalen Brunson. He will not play against the Miami Heat. Tony, just your initial thoughts on Jalen Brunson having an ankle sprain, what it means for the Knicks.
hey, opportunity. You know what I mean? Let's see who can step in and step up and fill some holes, some gaps. I knew he was gonna miss some time though. You know what I mean? I predicted 2 games minimum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might be 1 now, so you know that's good news.
Yeah, leaving in a boot and crutches, there was no way he wasn't going to miss time, at least a game. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, there was no way that wasn't going to happen because this regime, and when I say regime, I mean the addition of Mike Brown to this regime, is about caring for the players and their bodies and making sure that they're ready for the playoffs. So, once he was in a walking boot and crutches, you already knew he wasn't going to be playing against Miami. And look, there's been some question of Mike Brown, right? Some question of Mike Brown. Let's take a look at how some fans are feeling right now about the situation. Polio 1 said, "This is what a bench is for. Down 15 with a minute left. Pull the damn starters. It's a back-to-back game."
It's 1 game.
It's 1 game. Yeah, it's back-to-back. It's 1 game. Your thoughts on these comments here?
I mean, I've definitely felt that way a little bit in real time watching the game. You know what I mean? But I also was intrigued or thought it was so interesting at the same time because his early press conference of not chasing wins, and even me not liking the sound of it. You know what I mean? And it felt like this was the win he chased. And you could really say that because of how the game went. You know what I mean? It's not like it was close. A closer game, you could have felt different. You know what I mean? But it was a couple of times where we just couldn't get over that hump. I think we cut it to 9, but before
Yeah.
that, it was
Right.
10 and 11. You know what I mean? Like, and we just couldn't get over that hump. And a couple of circumstances late in the game, it just felt like, all right, these 2 turnovers right now after the run, we done.
Yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted, right? Because I do believe there's a point in time when you know this ain't it, right? You know, this one's done. Let's hang it up. But I also do believe that time on the floor with your group helps in the future, right? Having that time together, building the chemistry, playing the way you want to play. I mean, who knows if okay, as a coach, I've had plenty of times where I've said, all right, you know what? This game is out of reach. But here's our goal for the next 5 minutes.
Mhm.
This is what we're going to try to accomplish over the next 5 minutes. And so you play that game as if it's a close game, right? You might tell your players, you know what? You see 50-30. I see 35-30. Let's win these last 2 minutes and win this basketball game up here.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And use it as practice, kind of. We don't know if there was something like that happening or going on. You know, so it's hard for us to say, oh, he should have took him out the game because of this and that and the third. Um, you know, I don't know. I think I prefer to leave it to the coach's call in that aspect. You know, because
I never said take Brunson out like in real time watching it, but it was definitely a few events that happened that made me say this game is over. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from with.
I get that.
Like
I get that.
like that like we especially when our run got stopped. Basically, I forgot what the exact circumstances, but I mentioned it yesterday. You know what I mean? We were on a run. We got a turnover. We got to stop. We got a turnover. We got to stop. You know what I mean? And then we missed the shot. So it was like once we got those stops, but we didn't score, and I think we were stuck at 9 at that point. You know what I mean? And had missed opportunity, or not even an opportunity because we turned the ball over, offensive foul
Right.
and turnover. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I was like, all right, it's done. Like
Yeah.
we could have cut it to maybe 7, maybe
Yeah.
maybe 5.
I get it. You know, it's just always hard to know what the coach is trying to get across to the players. You know, because we're not in the locker room, we're not there. So I mean, I get it, I understand. You know, because like I said, there comes a point in time when you got to be like, you know what, it's not happening. You just never know.
And I'm not disputing what you're saying because there's a bunch of things you can look at it as opportunity to see things from guys who don't play. You know what I mean? Like you could look at it like you said. All right, let me give these guys more time to figure things out,
Mhm.
knowing it's not for the win, but it's to see something, to learn something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But I get it.
yeah, yeah. For anyone that doesn't know and is just joining us, I'm pretty sure you know by now. You know, because this was 5-6 hours ago. But Knicks point guard Jalen Brunson sustained a grade 1 ankle sprain versus the Orlando Magic. We all know he went out with about 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Knicks down about 16 points. And he suffered a grade 1 ankle sprain. He will not play against the Miami Heat. And some fans aren't liking the way things went down. You know, some fans aren't liking it. Wade Nick 16 said, so tell me this. We swap Mike Brown for Tibbs. Actually, Tibbs for Mike Brown. And he does the same shit. Like Tibbs got Cat and JB on the court playing a back-to-back and no chance to win the game. And you know why these coaches will never be as good as Pop? Because he didn't kill his players chasing regular season's wins. Now no JB, we're fucked. Again, you know, like I said, I'm a proponent of players playing. You know, and of coaching. And sometimes you coach a certain way. Sometimes, you know, you're trying to figure some things out. Players can get hurt at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you know, sometimes you got to use the games as lessons. That's how good teams become championship teams. Sometimes, right? They learn how to play in certain situations, and sometimes you have to use these situations as a way to learn. And we've seen here's the thing. Here's the thing that always keeps coaches, players, whoever wanting to stay on the floor. We've seen 15-point leads evaporate in 2 minutes. We've seen teams drop 9, 10 points in 40 seconds. Right? We've seen that happen. And with the way we've been shooting the three ball lately, you knock down 3 threes, it's a different game all of a sudden. You know, so it's hard not to, you know, it's hard not to stay in there and say, you know what, we can still get something done. We can still get something done. It's hard not to do that as a coach, in my opinion. But what do you think of that, though?
My old coach used to say, we don't got to win, we got to tie.
Yeah, hey, you know, you give yourself a chance. Go into overtime. We don't got to win it right now. Go overtime. You know what I'm saying? That might, yeah.
It's like overtime would deflate them. I think stuff like that I just find interesting because you know, as one of the people who, you know, one of the Tibbs supporters, one of the people that didn't necessarily like the firing. I always find it interesting when these things come up because I think this is what we're gonna deal with. You know what I mean? Until after the season, at the very least.
All season, it's gonna be comparison to Tibbs and whatever Tibbs did or has done or whatever it is. There's gonna be a comparison that's gonna happen all season long. There's no doubt about it. You know, not much there's not much that Mike Brown can do about it besides keep playing and winning basketball games. That's really all he can do about it. You know what I mean? You know, but it's going to continue. It's just there's no two ways to go about it. There's going to continue to be these comparisons, which I guess it's fair because Tom Thibodeau took the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals and then lost his job. So yeah, I guess it's fair. You know, but everything is I don't know. Everything is different. You know what I mean? Everything is different, and I'm not upset about it. I'm sure Sean isn't upset about it, even if Tibbs would have done the same thing, right? I'm sure Sean isn't upset about it because it's Mike Brown, but I'm not upset about it. I just, you know, coaching is difficult. You gotta make a lot of hard decisions on the fly, you know, and sometimes you try to do what's best for your team, and sometimes you might think what's best for your team is for these guys to figure out how to dig some things out.
Yeah, like you said, injuries can happen anytime. And if you look at how the injury happened, you know what I mean? Like that could definitely happen anytime.
Yeah. Anytime.
You know what I mean?
Anytime. Kev Berg said, exactly, Sim. We have been on the positive end of some of those major comebacks. We have. Mike Brown did a few things wrong, but leaving them in the game isn't one of them, in my opinion. You know, so and I mean I'm in agreement with Kev. I like um let the guys play, and sometimes you let them stay out there even if they're getting blown. There's lessons to be learned all the time. You know what I mean? Sean said, nope, not upset about it. I hated Thibodeau because he played his stars 45 minutes a night, not when he played them. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. HR Hadjuk said, grade 1, and he left on crutches and a walking boot. I can't lie. As much as I love JB, he's kind of a drama queen. I disagree with that. I don't think he's a drama queen. I mean, he tries to get foul calls and things like that, but I'm pretty sure it was the doctor's call, right? The medical staff's call to say, get in a walk. I mean, you don't want to put pressure on the ankle. So come on, HR. If you put pressure on the ankle, you're going to chance more injury. You know what I'm saying? So don't put pressure on the ankle.
Or you're gonna not putting pressure on the ankle probably increases your recovery time.
Yeah, right. Increases your recovery time because the ankle needs some rest. You know what I mean? Unlike me, I've sprained an ankle, I walk all day on it. And JB probably would too. So the medical team's like, no, take this walking boot. I mean, come on. Kev Berg said, so JB told the medical teams, yo, let me get a walking boot. Exactly. Right. I don't think so. I'm sure they said, take this walking boot, take these crutches, go home, ice it, keep it elevated, all those type of things, right? Gave him a list of instructions.
Yeah. And who's to say he ain't get out the arena into the car and throw that joint? You know what I mean? I mean, I know people like that.
Yeah, I know people like that too. I'm one of those type of people. Trust me. I hate when I have to wear stuff like that. And doctors are like, oh, you can't play for 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Anybody just joining us? Jalen Brunson has sustained a grade 1 ankle sprain versus Orlando. He is not available tomorrow or today versus the Miami Heat, and he will be evaluated daily moving forward. So now, what do we do? What's the lineup now? Right? I'm sure Mike Brown and the coaching staff had an idea that one day Jalen Brunson was going to be out. Right. And I'm sure they've had some thoughts about who is going to start, who's going to replace Jalen Brunson in the starting lineup. Right. And our fans have some thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
D. Tarver said the Knicks brass should sign Deion Wright, who filled in beautifully when Brunson went down last season. Also, with his size and defensive skills, would help tremendously. I'm not going to say he wouldn't help, because he did play well last season when he played. I mean, I'm not going to sign him to be Brunson's backup, though.
He's not a needle mover.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this: the only attribute that might move the needle with him, and probably did last year, is his size at his position. You know what I mean? We're lacking size, and his size at his position it becomes a strength. I think that's why he was so good guarding Halliburton, which I think he might have gave Hallie the most problems. You know what I mean? If anybody did, I think it was him. And I think that was simply because of his size. So that's what I'll say about Wright. You know what I mean? But he's like he's not a needle mover offensively. He was great from three, which was like an admiration. You know what I mean? Like, do you come in expecting that like again? And
Right.
that was in a very, very, very short stint. You know what I mean? Like,
Not only
so
that, not only that, he's in a totally different offense, right? Under Tibbs. Totally different style of play.
which he probably fits better.
Fits better. Exactly. I was gonna say that it probably fits his style of play better. You know, yeah, I'm nothing against him. I love what he did last year, but I'm not crazy about. You know, I'd rather rock with what we have, right? So based on what we have, um, what do we do? Who do we
Mm.
play? And let me read this comment here. Housefly 2505 said ankles are tricky. I played high school and college football, never sprained my ankle till I was jogging one day years later. Ankle has never been the same. I can agree with you 100%. When I was in high school, my freshman year, I suffered a really bad ankle sprain, and my ankle's been weak ever since. You know what I mean? I got to wrap it up when I play. You know, it'll on the slightest wrong turn of my foot and my ankle will turn over. Now, I've gotten used to so many ankle sprains. I know how to deal with them, you know, but yeah, ankles can be very tricky, and once you suffer an ankle sprain, you stretch out those ligaments, they may never go back because that's what the sprain is, right? It's a stretched ligament. They may never go back. Now, the kind of treatment that Brunson can get, maybe it can, but a lot of times they don't go back to the regular elasticity, if I'm using the word correctly. It's like a rubber band, right? Right? You stretch a rubber band out and it never really goes back to that tight rubber band that it was. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that, you know. So yeah, and I think did he sprain the same ankle last season?
Well, last season he sprained both, but you talking about the late injury,
Yeah,
the long time he missed. I'm not sure. I know they said this was the right this time, but I'm not sure what it was last year.
yeah, you know. But what do we do, Tony? Who do we what do we who starts tomorrow? Let's start there. Who starts tomorrow at point guard?
Yesterday, I was leaning towards Clarkston. Today, I am joining the Deuce train, and that's more so because he Deuce starting as much as he's not stepping in and replacing Brunson, he does fill a hole on the defensive end. And if we're running, I'm gonna say if we're running the offense that Mike Brown wants us to run, we should still be sustainable. You know what I mean? Like guys will get looks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys will be running the floor. Guys will get them shots. So it's you know that I'm leaning towards Deuce.
Mm, okay. Um, I think I'm leaning towards Deuce as well. You know, I'm leaning towards Deuce or Tyler Kolek, which probably sounds like okay, Kolek. And the only reason is,
Run the offense.
right. If you start Kolek,
Okay.
he can get the ball to guys that need it, and you can keep your bench intact. You don't have to touch your bench. You know, I don't know if Mike Brown cares about that.
Mm.
Because Mitch has been out and he's starting Shamit, not Huck Porty, right? So, maybe he doesn't care about keeping the bench intact. I don't know. And then, how much of it depends on whether or not Mitch plays too.
I was thinking that as well.
Because if Mitch doesn't play, now you've got to add two guys from the bench to the starting unit. Normally, you would be adding Shamit. Do you add Deuce and Shamit, or do you add Kolick and Shamit? I mean, you have no choice but to add two of the guys from the bench anyway. So, but it may it may have some impact on who he decides to go with. Maybe he decides if my fault, Tony, if Mitch isn't there and Shamit starts, maybe he decides to go with someone who has a little bit more height, right? Or ability to rebound, like a Josh Hart, So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure we'll find out sometime during the day.
Yeah, I think if Mitch is not there, I would say maybe it's still Deuce and Shamit, or whatever. I mean, Kolick and Shamit, whichever, and then you just gotta go deeper into your non-rotational guys. You know what I mean? Maybe her party finally sees the light of day.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the next guy up? Because most of those guys come in on a group substitution. Who do you think is the next individual up?
The next individual up.
It feels like her party's in a doghouse, right?
It does. It feels like he's in the doghouse.
So I would probably say Kolick is the next guy up, the next guy he trusts the most.
You said Kolick?
Yeah. I think he trusts him more than, Dadier, Diawara, Haporti.
That's true. It probably is Kolick. Dadier, I don't think he has much faith in Dadier. I think
he's probably the low man on the totem pole.
Yeah, probably. Diawara, I don't know, probably Kolick. I would say Kolick is the next after the 10. Kolick, I think, is probably the next guy. Yeah. Marcus Miller, 7138, said starting Kolick and having Deuce play 27 plus minutes works for me. But Kolick against Miami is just a dangerous start. Is he ready?
I think that's the best test for him.
Hey, right. You know what I'm saying? You'll find out if he's ready.
Because who is their point? What's their start? Who's their guards? Hero, is he back? Yeah, I think he is back. I think that's a good test. I don't know if they have like a.
Is Tyler Hero back?
I thought he was. I thought I saw a highlight of him at some point this season.
I don't know. Let me see. I'll do some research to see.
Yeah, because I'm like, they got they still got that point guard that was in Sacramento, right? Mitchell,
Davion Mitchell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he's strong, but he ain't a big guard. You know what I mean? So that'll be a nice tough matchup on for Kolek.
Who, Davion Mitchell?
Yep.
Yeah, because he's a defender. That'll
Hmm.
definitely be a nice tough matchup for Coley. No doubt about that.
And he's strong offensively. You know what I mean? Like he ain't big and he ain't jumping out the gym, but he got like that Brunson strength.
Right. So Tyler Hero is traveling with the team on the trip to New York. Other than that, there's not much of a status update. So it looks like he may not be, probably won't be playing. So, you know. But Davion Mitchell, yeah, he's a good defender. He's a good defender. And he'll put Deuce to the not Deuce, he'll put Kolek to the test. He'll put Deuce to the test too. You know,
It put Deuce to the test too. Actually,
yeah,
I would argue that Kolek might be more of a challenge for Mitchell than Deuce because he has more handle straight up. You know what I mean? Like he's he's more of a pure point guard in the fact that he's not going to pick up his dribble and make it any easier on Davion.
Mm,
Like Deuce has a tendency to pick his dribble up, and to me that's when he's in trouble. If you're
yeah,
gonna pick your dribble up, you better know exactly what you're doing with it.
right,
And he doesn't always.
right.
Kolek, you know what I mean? He's gonna keep his dribble. Can't get through, back it out. You know what I mean? Like he's not gonna pick up his dribble as much.
Yeah. He's got to make sure he makes himself a threat if he's going to be out there too.
100%.
Make himself a threat. Shout out to Canberry. Thank you for the super chat. He said Deuce is starting. Miami's offense is way too good. Mitchell ISO is like crazy. Overall, Knicks are going to get ran on if Robinson is out.
Mm.
Well, let's see, because from what we're reading here in the chat, there's also some injuries to the Miami Heat. Right? Marcus Miller said, no Bam, we should dominate. Mitch plays, learn how to play big and heavy. I'm not exactly sure what he's saying there. Sean Richardson said Bam is out too. Walter White says no Hero, no Bam. Bam is out to November the 17th.
That's Monday.
That's Monday. Yeah. And then Canberry says Miami beat the Cavs without Bam. Their offense is legit. So, you know, J Rock said, wow, that's crazy. If we lose to the Heat without Bam, I'd be very disappointed. Listen, man, you know the type of culture they have. Yeah, but you know the type of culture they have there in Miami. You know, it's just work. That's the kind of culture they have. You know what I mean? And you know, so they're the type of a team that's always going to overachieve, especially when their guys are out. They're going to overachieve because of their work ethic. You know, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Okay, so regardless who we start, normally the offense runs through Brunson, right? He's the kickstarter. He takes all the shots, not all the shots, but he takes the most shot attempts on the team. How do you think it looks now? Do they run it through Karl Anthony Towns, or do they play, the type of offense that's just not ball dominated? And is there even more ball movement because Brunson is out?
I mean, we saw more ball movement when he was out at times last year, and um, and we've been successful in some non-Brunson minutes, especially the more Mike Brown utilized other starters. You know what I mean? A mixture of, some bench players with Towns, some bench players with McHale.
Mhm.
I don't think the front office is as much. I think they don't. I think the fans think we don't have enough without Brunson more than the front office do. I think especially they think that starting five has enough offense to get the job done. Matter of fact, Mike Brown said as much.
I mean, we should have enough. We should have enough. Here's going to be the scariest point for me, especially with a team like Miami. It's going to be the ball handling. Can we handle can we handle the pressure? I mean, listen, most times we're going to get the ball up the floor, right? But too many times this year, I've seen when we receive ball pressure and Brunson's not the guy handling the ball, we have some trouble. Either turn the ball over, throw a bad pass or something like that, or kind of dribble to the sideline, with major pressure on us. Deuce can
Mhm.
handle the ball a little bit. Kolick, he can handle the ball, but sometimes I get a little bit afraid that guys are going to rough him up, you
I
know,
think he likes that. To be honest, I think he plays better when he's challenged.
and he might, you know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm scared with Brunson. I'm a little bit nervous about the ball handling sometimes. Without Brunson, I'll be a little bit more nervous. I think what the way we should go in this situation, play how we've been playing, moving the ball, but do a lot more getting the ball to Cat on the post and letting guys cut to the basket.
Mhm.
Because he can pass. You know what I mean? And he's a threat, right? So kind of like Joakim Noah used to do, like Jokic does, right? Get him the ball there. I mean, and we see it now, right? We see OG passing the ball there and then cut past him, right? And then let Cat decide what he's going to do. Maybe we may see a lot more of that while Brunson's out. So there's going to be options for Mike Brown. We'll see how he utilizes those options, and maybe this is an opportunity for him to dig deeper into his bag, figure out what other guys can do. Not that he hasn't done it already, but do a little bit more figuring out what other guys can do and how to use those guys and so on and so forth. So should be interesting going forward. Marcus Miller, 7138, said Mitch isn't on the injury report. If he plays, we will be a big team. We need to learn how to play as a big team. So far, our best lineups have been Cat at center or Mitch at center, Need Yabu, and double big. I'm gonna ask you guys one thing. I'm gonna ask you guys one thing to help me out a little bit. Because sometimes I have some reading deficiencies. So use punctuation. It helps me. If you can use just a little bit of punctuation, it can help me. I know you're probably typing on your phones, you're going fast and everything, and I'm not trying to diss you, Mr. Miller. I appreciate you always participating. I'm talking to everybody. Just use a little bit of punctuation to help me out a little bit because, I can have some reading deficiencies. So it'll help me out.
I laughed because I thought you was gonna say something about Yabusele.
Oh,
So you threw me off just there.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to I'm trying to take it easy on Yabu, what do you want? Yabba dabba do. I'm trying to take it easy on them. You know what I mean? And not every year we have somebody that we get mad with and come down on. Last year was Mikal Bridges, because he didn't play up to expectations for some people. This year it's been Yabusele, and I'm guilty of it. You know, I mean, I ain't gonna front. I'm guilty of it. You know, so I'm trying to take it easy on the brother, man.
Sam, I'm gonna say this. I felt guilty of it early on too. That's why I've been trying to be quiet about it because I didn't feel right. Because he might be the first one that I've done that to in a very long time. You know what I mean? Like under this new regime, I don't think I've done it at all. Like you know what I mean? I was rooting and cheering for everybody. Kimba, Fournier, you know what I mean? Like where guys was getting that smoke, you know what I mean? Like I usually was defending them or try to
Yeah,
find something that
yeah,
they was doing right and good. So
yeah.
now I'm doing what my mom said. If you ain't got nothing nice to say,
You don't say nothing. Marcus Miller said, laugh out loud, Sim, it's all good. I'm just joking with you anyway, bro. Said I had to delete the comments and periods for character purposes. Nah, I get it. Definitely, I get it. I'm just messing with you. You know, Marcus the Pharaoh, thank you for the super chat. He says, Sim, Tony, what's good? All I see is early season woes. It will get better. It will. It'll definitely get better. You know, there's no doubt about that. And you know, finding these things out early is better than finding it out late, right? You know, figure now you're forced to figure out, okay, what do we do without Brunson? You know, you go the whole season with Brunson and you're kind of not forced to figure it out.
mm-hmm.
So you just play with the way
Yep.
that you play, right? And then something like, you know, then something happens later and you're like, oh, you know, now what? So now you're forced to figure it out within the first 20 games, which, you know, could be a blessing in disguise. You know, could be. Kev Berg said every year one player is the scapegoat. But we say it all the time. Yeah, every year there's somebody who's the scapegoat. You know what I mean? And right now, you know, Yabusele, I'm sure he reads, he probably watches shows like this, reads messages on X and Instagram and all of everything. You know, I'm sure he sees it and I'm sure he's feeling the pressure a little bit too. Nobody wants to come to New York and disappoint because they know what's going to happen if they do. You know what I mean? So nobody wants to come to New York and disappoint. So I'm sure he's got it in the back of his mind and it's making him press even more. Right. So now he's pressing even more like, damn, I need to, I gotta, you know, I gotta get it together. You know what I mean? So he will. I hope he will. Sean says, Sim, you hated Cam Reddish just as much as you hate Yabu. I didn't hate Cam. I thought Cam was really talented. I hated his laissez-faire attitude towards the game. That's what I really hated about Cam because I thought Cam had all the talent in the world.
And just never locked in.
He never really locked in, and he had this. You know, he said it one time in a post game interview or something. You know, he was like, you know, something as to the effect of, I make millions of dollars, like, you know, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Which I get it. He's right. Very, very right. You know, but you want your guys to have that passion for the game. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, I'd be playing for free type of thing. You know, when you say I'm making millions of dollars, I'm good, it kind of says, whatever happens, take me out of the league, do whatever you want. I made my money already. You know what I'm saying? It kind of says that.
When you have that attitude and you say that, and you also say, "I feel like I'm a star," that
Yeah,
that don't mix.
that don't mix. It's like oil and water, baby. Don't mix. Don't mix. Cam, the Pharaoh said Cam had no motor. Exactly. He had no motor. You know what I mean? So yeah, tomorrow's gonna be it's gonna be interesting and fun to see how um Mike Brown. My name's good. I was about to say Mike Tibbs. How Mike Brown decides to, you
Some
know,
people calling him that after.
how Mike Brown was, decides to use the roster and things. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I love this part of the game. When coaches have to strategize, figure out the best ways for your team to win, even though there's a major injury or whatever it is. I love this part of the game. You know what I mean? Love this part of the game. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We got the Knicks on the losers lounge. Got the Knicks on the losers lounge. I don't know if this is blasphemous or what, but it felt like more than a loss when Jalen Brunson was also injured. You know what I mean? Kev Berg, thank you for the transition. I was trying to figure out a way to transition. Right now, I was figuring out a way to transition. Now you didn't miss the Grizzlies fans' comments. We're about to talk about them right now.
Might as well play the intro.
You know what I'm saying? Might as well play the intro. Because there's a lot of stuff going on over there in Memphis. And we don't have a whole lot of comments, and most of them are about Ja. You know what I mean? Might as well play the intro.
Losing is what got us here. None of us feel good about it. This is, where we are. You are what your record is. You are what has happened, recently. But things can change quickly. Once we.
Losing got us where we are today, the Knicks fans. And with the Memphis Grizzlies, man.
Hey, Sim, real quick. I'm sorry. Because playing that intro actually made me feel better. Like for a slight second, I forgot we just lost the last game.
Somebody asked Ja Morant, one of the fans, when he was leaving the game the other day, said, Ja, come to New York. And he responded, I'm cool. Obviously Knicks fans, a lot of Knicks fans are going to take offense to that. Not me. I look at it as kind of I'm cool where I'm at, basically trying to say. Even if he isn't, but don't want no more media stuff going on, right? Because it's just a lot happening with Ja right now. And I think some of their fans are not liking Ja either right now. And they might be looking for a change. Mr. Ouija said, I'm old enough to remember when they used to say this was a dynasty. Ja Morant absolutely blows now.
I don't know why they would have said it was a dynasty without winning anything.
Right.
That like that. But I get the sentiment.
Yeah.
It's definitely a turnaround in it hasn't been a long time coming though. You know what I mean? Like he's been through some things for consecutive years.
Right. Yeah. And maybe they're just tired of what they've been going through with him. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's just like, listen, all right, he's great and all of that, but I'm tired of the stress. I'm tired of worrying about what's Ja gonna do next. And that's how I would feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I feel like
I defended him the last 2 times.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would feel. I'm tired of worrying about what he's gonna do next. Just get him out of here. Let's get somebody in here that's consistent, that's gonna be here, that's gonna play ball. And I don't have to worry about what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? Hey, I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. The kid is so talented. so talented. And maybe his instant fame like that just kind of went to his head a little bit. I don't know.
Dude.
I don't know.
mm, I don't even think this last situation was as big as it was made out to be. I think it's more of the collection, the collective of the past few years. I think it's more of the first incident. Like this is not even talk about the non NBA basketball type stuff, but
Right.
the first incident with the NBA and the firearm, um, and the seeming lack of remorse. You know what I mean, and almost joke making a mockery of the situation. I think that's when the problem when it started really becoming a problem. You know what I mean? Like if he didn't make the comments or the statements about the remorse and then literally have it happen again or seemingly have it happen again,
Right.
it probably could have been fixable. You know what I mean? Like I said, um when Kendrick Perkins said the gist of his conversation was basically I was telling people how good this guy is or how special he's going to be or how good the team is becoming. And when you continuously root for somebody or champion somebody and
Mhm.
then they do things that make themselves look bad, they also make you look bad.
Yeah.
So for the fan bases were defending him, people defending him, and then you do more stuff. It's like, you making me look bad. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's this team at one point looked like they were gonna, that guy mentioned a dynasty. They looked like at one point that they could be the next dynasty. You know what I mean? They just, they were just a strong up and coming team that, with Ja on the team, it looked like, well, these guys are going to be dangerous for years to come. And he looked like he was going to be the next face of the NBA and all of that stuff.
I got a
And,
hot take.
go ahead.
Everything fell apart when they got rid of Brooks. Dylan
Dylan-
Brooks was his bulletproof vest.
Okay. Well, I can see that. I can see
You
that.
know what I mean? Dylan Brooks was the guy that he made you worry about him, so you didn't worry about Ja. You know what I'm saying? And that's just his attitude on the court. You know what I mean? That's not even off the court. But I feel like he got a strong enough personality to probably sit him down. You know what I mean? Or divert him from some of this foolery. And they scapegoated him. And I think he was like his protector in a sense. You know what I mean? Not literally, but you know what I mean? The guy who's gonna jump in front of
Right.
whatever's going your
He
way.
took the heat. He took not the blame, but his the things that he did took the spotlight away. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I definitely understand that. Bowie in Space 812 said, Ja looks like he's throwing the ball away on purpose. And I think what people are saying really is he looks like he doesn't care. Looks like he doesn't want to play. I think that's what they're trying to say. And it's his body language kind of says that a little bit.
I mean, his body language was kind of like the Knicks last game. Arguing with the refs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not focused on. You know what I mean? Like the game, basically.
Right. But maybe this is something that they've been seeing from him for, it's a short season, but for the entire
Mhm.
season so far. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
When you're in that situation as a team, I feel like you should open the phone lines and be honest. You know what I mean? I know people think that's devaluing, and when they know a guy don't want to be there, or they know organization don't want a person that they could lowball you as far as like what they offer. But to me, talent is talent, and then talent plus age, it means more than anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't think like even a low ball offer is gonna be a good offer, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Sean Richardson said, Giant do nothing wrong this time. These new young coaches are full of themselves and analytical about everything. It kind of goes along with what SY1622 is saying. He said, Job makes a three and the dumbass coach takes him out. The
Hmm.
problem is the coaching. Why is Concar playing and not Gigi? So, um, some of the
That's
fans out there,
Gigi Jackson.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. That's why I just said Gigi. I'm not sure. um, maybe it is. Maybe he isn't happy with the coaching. Maybe they want him to do some things. Maybe they want him to change his style of play or something.
And they just fired coach. Didn't he seemingly like? Or did
Yeah.
him and that coach have issues too?
No, I don't think so. I think they got along. You know, sometimes a player like Ja maybe need. I was just watching the Allen Iverson documentary.
Mhm.
He had a lot of issues with Larry Brown, right? But Larry Brown was trying to teach him how to play, was teaching him how to even be better,
Mhm.
right? And they had issues, and it took them having a come to Jesus conversation. And Iverson realized, he's got my best interest at heart, and Iverson became even better, and the team became even better. Sometimes players like that might need a coach to say, "Hey, we need you to." Same thing happened with Jordan a little bit with Phil Jackson, right? Maybe sometimes a coach like that is like, "Hey, we need you to do these things. You're so talented. You're gonna get yours no matter what. It might take you a little bit of time to fit into and understand the system and what I'm asking you to do, but in the long run, it's gonna elevate your basketball game." You know, sometimes it's true, and then sometimes it's not true, and it's hard to know when, right? Hard to know when. Kev Burke says, Sim, the dude seems like he doesn't want to be there. That's yeah. I mean, from what I've seen from him, it does look that way. When I see him in interviews, it looks like he doesn't want to be there.
And to me, there's no way to increase his value. You move him now. Like, I don't know. I don't like why teams I never understood why teams don't try to get the most for their player. Like the Luca trade being a silent negotiation behind the scenes. That is the dumbest thing in the world to me. You know what I mean? Like Memphis not seemingly not trying to figure this out openly. You know what I mean? Because somebody's gonna bite. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And even if they don't, if you don't like the offer, that don't mean you gotta take it. But what
Right.
you can do is say, Ja, we're actively trying to find the best solution for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like spread the news. Hey, they only offered us this, this, and this. We would be idiots to take that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know, man. Uh, Skeet says, man, Ja is hard to watch right now. Turnover machine. He can't shoot. I know he's a fan favorite, but damn. You know, and then full time said, Ja ain't even trying, dude. Come on. Come on. You know, but
But
that's that
if
whole
that's
thing.
true, that continues, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't self-correct.
No.
Like,
Right.
and so that's what I mean. Like the longer you drag this out, or what do you think? You think they can fix it, or they should try to fix it,
I mean,
or
I
do you think?
gotta try to fix it. See if you can fix it. You know, and like you got to give it a try. And if it doesn't work, then say, all right, we got to cut our losses and you know use him to rebuild. You know what I mean?
When when you say try, what do you mean? Like, I'm saying, speaking as a coach or a front office person, not as the player, because to me, it's like a relationship. You know what I mean? It Two people gotta try.
Yeah,
You know
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of
you know what I'm
course.
saying? So if he's, let's say he isn't trying, right? Out there on the floor. At that point, there's nothing the organization can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
If their fans are right, and he actively looks like he ain't trying, and he's not giving it his all, and you know what I mean, like, and that's gonna continue. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not defending him because I think he's hurting. He's hurting everything. Maybe that's the heart to heart. Show your best, your best. You know what I mean, and we have better opportunities to move you.
Yeah. Yeah. JM said Ja's probably going by the deadline and has a good chance. I mean, you know, I'm not a Nets fan, but just for the energy of the city, I'd like to see him go to Brooklyn. I'm not gonna lie. Just for the energy of the city and you know, the Nets are so bad. So bad. Just so we can have some competition, you know?
I mean, if I'm the Nets, though, I mean, I'm watching this play out as long as I can, and maybe trying to do a silent, uh, you know what I mean, keep us in the loop type thing. But this is what we got on the table, because the longer they wait and then they make the move like at the deadline, it's like, all right, we so bad. It don't matter how good he is here, we gonna get our good pick. You know what I mean?
Right.
we gonna and he gets comfortable with the guys that are left, and like everything becomes a plus. You bring
Yeah.
him in too early, he might change the whole direction.
Yeah. But yeah, jog to the Nets. That I think that it'd just be exciting for the city, you know, because you know he's gonna come. There's gonna be it'd be mad energy around it, you know.
So
It'd
I'm
be
still with, if they could get him and Zion for the cheap, would be crazy.
crazy, be crazy,
Like they
be
you know what
crazy.
I mean? Like,
You have the championship level team, the Knicks, and then you have an up and coming team. The energy would be crazy, and when they play each other at the Garden or in
yeah,
Brooklyn, when they play each other, that'd be crazy. That'd be
yeah,
mad fun though.
it would.
Right? It'd be
I
mad.
love it.
Yeah. Pressure said, nah, Ja to the Knicks. We got something going right now. Let's play that. Let's play it out. Canberra says Ja would never come to the Knicks. Knicks only want players that can't pass Brunson's stardom.
Mm.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but I think the Knicks only want players that have shown strong character. I don't know. Yeah, I would say that.
I was about to ask him why
No,
he said that, but I can hear it playing in my head. Oh, they didn't want Giannis, and that's why they brought Cat here.
I mean, listen. Brunson right now has the Knicks in his back pocket. Let's just put it at that. There's no doubt about that. You know what I'm saying? Brunson has the New York Knicks in his back pocket. It's his team, without a doubt. You know what I mean? He's the guy that he's the savior. He's the savior. So yeah, that's yeah. This ain't just content; it's culture, ladies and gentlemen. That's for sure. That's the truth. It ain't just content. It's about culture with us here at NBK. It's about the culture. That's for sure. We got on our last show, because we had that last call. Somebody made a comment about that. It said, the way we, spoke to the dude shows that, we're for real when we say it's not just content, it's culture. Yeah, we're for real with it. That's the truth. One last thing before we get up out of here, Tony, we go over to your channel. Did you read? I read that, and I don't know if it was true or just a joke. I didn't really take a deep dive into it, but I read that Melo is working on a comeback so he can play with Kion in the league.
I did not hear that. I did not hear that. But I ain't want him to retire. You know where I wanted him.
Yeah.
You know where I wanted him to retire. So
yeah,
I'm gonna just leave that at that.
Me too. And I'm not sure if it was some website and they cited some reporter, you know what I mean, and it could have just been a joke. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, the way I'm looking at it right now, Melo hasn't played in a while.
Yeah, but that don't mean coming back now. You know what I mean? Like he got a whole how many months to prep himself and kind of, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Pressure says, I want to be a b-ball coach. How should I approach this? I don't know if you've coached before. So if you haven't coached before, go coach one of the youth leagues. Start with like 10-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Start there. You know what I mean? Because if you start in high school, trying to be a head coach in high school or something like that, or teenagers, it's a little bit more difficult. They're going to challenge you. Young kids are going to listen. You know what I mean? Start there, and then as you move up the ranks, maybe be an assistant coach on a high school team, something like that. Starting off trying to be a head coach first of all, at a high school, they're going to want to know your credentials. But if some high school were like, yeah, we'll take you just because we don't have a coach, teenagers are tough to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to challenge you, and they're going to think they know more than you, and you got to prove that you know more than them in order for them to respect you. You know what I mean? So you start off with the young guys, hone your craft with them, do a lot of studying, research. There's a lot of stuff online you can go to just look at skill development, you know what I mean? And focus on skill development, not just winning basketball games with young guys. Focus on skill development, teaching them how to play the game the right way. And just you gotta do your research. You gotta do your studying, you know what I mean? Do your research, do your studying, learn about different types of zone defenses and different types of motion offenses and zone offenses. You got to learn all of that stuff. You know what I mean? So that you can understand it. So yeah, that's probably the best way to start right there with those young guys. But anyway, folks, appreciate all of you, without a doubt. We're heading on over to Knicks and Bruises so we can talk some more New York Knicks. You know what I mean? So join us on over there, folks. Tony, any last words? Else?
Nah, just be over there in like 5 minutes max.
Yes, sir.
Run to the
Let's make it happen.
bathroom.
Let's make it happen, baby.
Appreciate you, son. Shout out to the chat.
Appreciate you, brother. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench.